Altcoin season about to begin. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet. And as we see over the last day, we had a major bullish movement within Bitcoin. The reason for that being most likely is Pakistan is trying to create a crypto reserve now after US has already done so. They're asking the US for help on how to create their crypto reserve. And that is one major bullish bar for Bitcoin. We clearly see it's holding support at 108. The likelihood of this going down below the 200 EMA is less and less when we start holding this 108 support. So this orange bars right here are kind of more what we are predicting. Could we see that retracement and test that 200 EMA just for fun? Yes, that's a possibility, but it is less likely now than it was about 2 or 3 days ago. And I will move right into XCN, but I also want to recommend Tornado Cash. Just the other day, I was recommending buying at $11, as you had the opportunity many times back here. And once it broke over that, we had that push to 18. Testing off that $11 mark exactly, and that downward trend line. And if you entered yesterday as recommended, or I guess 2 days ago, 21% increase is what you're looking at. So those other coins that you may be trapped in, you could have put that money easily into Tornado Cash and gained 20% within the past 3 or 4 days. You can trade Tornado Cash on MEXC. The reference link is in the description below. And if you use that reference link, you get 10 USDT for free, which can almost buy you a Tornado Cash, keeping in mind the all-time high is $459, currently at $12.78. Jumping into XCN, and then I'll bring back in Perpetual Protocol. XCN still doing the same thing, but it's definitely holding some strong support here at 0.010. We had that major push up, testing the 200 EMA, came back down, had this one major wick off trying to push through the CM Guppy, and it came back down, but we are getting some strong support on that 1 cent mark. If we invert this, it looks a little bit better. Instead of looking at the bearish side and the potential that it could be going down, we see that this is in correlation with the bullish side. So we get this trend line right here, which is building higher lows, and we can expect that push towards the 200 EMA. There's a lot of pressure within this area between 0.01 and 0.012. But once we get out of that area above that 200 EMA, the 618 is right at this red trend line. And that's ultimately what we really need to break to start seeing XCN take off back towards the 4 cent level. Keeping in mind around 0.033 is the 618. Going back to the normal version, we can see that we may have a sell-off here at 2 cents being the full 1 retracement. We may have a sell-off here around 0.027 to 0.03, right whenever we start getting into the 618 area. And then roughly once we start hitting this top mark at, let's get rid of some of this, at 0.049, almost 5 cents. Beyond 5 cents, a lot of people are expecting to sell off here around 10 cents, which is the full 1 retracement from this 10 cent high. Keeping in mind the all-time high is 18 cents. So we are more looking at this 0.067 for a little bit of resistance. As we see back in time, we had some resistance pushed all the way back down to the 5. And you say that's only 2 cents, but 2 cents on a 5 cent coin is pretty substantial. So if you have not entered XCN, most likely you have entered if you're watching this channel. XCN is just building up in consolidation. Could we potentially see those lower lows? It's a possibility, but with Bitcoin starting its movement upwards, we're most likely going to see some consolidation, keeping the RSI healthy, and a little bit of volume will start pushing this up over that 200 EMA and the down red trend line. It's been the same thing for the past couple of weeks in this bleeding out section. That was, I guess, all of September. It was bleeding out. We had the news where we had that pump roughly within this area testing the 200 EMA, and now we are forming what you could see is a W And with that double, you can expect a further move to the upside. It's just in consolidation at the moment. Now sneaking in a few more, perpetual protocol. If you have not entered perpetual protocol, now is not a bad bet. Volume is decreasing. Price is increasing. We are getting green in the CM guppy, holding above that 50 mark. The blue and the green where they meet is the 50. And we are starting to consider this fire. It's starting to push this up towards that 200 EMA. And we've seen with this coin as well as many others, once we get over that 200 EMA, we did have that rejection up, back over, consolidation, try and snag some liquidity, but could not make it through the CM guppy, and had the push to the upside up towards $1.30. Currently at 29 cents. If it's reaching that $1.30 position, which isn't the all-time high, that is, for your information, around 360% potential increase and 540% for the first real resistance. Beyond that, you're looking all the way up here at $5. I think $22 is its all-time high. Main thing to keep in mind is volume is picking up exponentially. We are bottoming out and we are trying to get over that 200 EMA. So if you haven't entered into perpetual protocol, it's not financial advice in any way, but 29 cents to $24 is not a bad ROI. Downward channel in BNT, what we've seen, we've had this structure played out for quite a while now. In the previous videos, I was saying we could test this lower area. There is the possibility to hit the 618 at 55 cents. But with Bitcoin's bullish movement, we are testing this 200 EMA yet again, and we could potentially be testing this downward trend line. That'd be about its fourth touch to the downward trend line. This one has 2 touches, so this trend line is a lot weaker. And if we can bust through that, we can expect a push to 95 cents or even $1.05. And after that, there's not a whole bunch of resistance if we can close above the 95 cent mark. The next roughly resistance area is $1.55, which is pretty good gains from this entry point, about 131% potential. But beyond that, all-time high is around $20 as well. It's way up there. So you guys have the opportunity to buy at an absolute low if you missed your opportunity at 35 cents when we had our entry back here in April. So with this downward wedge consolidation, it's similar to XRP and XLM, and it just needs to break that downward trend line. And for those of you who are not subscribed, I see there are like 79% of you. The analytics state it all. Less than 1% are actually subscribed or viewers, and those who are not subscribed, definitely like and subscribe. Go into compound real quick, try and bust some of these out. 41.65. Just the other day I was saying $40 is not a bad entry. You would be in profit if you had entered in at that point. Ideally, I was saying we need to get above that 200 EMA, and once it's above that and holds, it really would be trading within this range against this downward trend line and the 200 EMA. And once we break out of that downward trend line, it's got a long way to go to hit the top. This is a $41, almost $42 coin, all-time high of $956. Volume is picking up exponentially. RSI is a little oversold, but kind of flirting with the yellow line here, trying to break over it, form a W, and essentially just like Compound and XYO, which I should bring up, it's just a long consolidation period. QNT, major reversal. Good thing you did not sell within this area as we are testing within this downward trend, pushing up over that 200 EMA very nicely, and the CM guppy. So there's not a whole bunch of resistance now. It's testing within this area if we can get a close above that 200 EMA. And once we break this downward trend line, that is when you're going to start looking for your exit strategy for QNT, as we might see a quick push to around 220 is a possibility, or even 160 before a little bit of rejection, and testing some support here at 150, building some higher highs. Lastly, I want to bring in is XYO and DNT. XYO, removing everything, long consolidation. Underneath the 200 EMA, the CM Guppy isn't very strong. We just need to weaken this line a little bit, get it a little bit more consolidated, and get over the 200 EMA. And ultimately, when you put everything back on this black downward trend line, once that is crossed, whether it's in a slow consolidation period and creeping over it day by day, or a quick movement, when we can get a close above the 200 EMA, we're looking at a range in between 0.012. But beyond that, roughly, it can be pushing all the way up to 0.024. You see that's not a whole bunch of money. That's like a penny. But if you were to be entering at this exact moment, that is about 158% potential increase and a lot more to come for XYO. Similar with DNT, long played out consolidation. But with this consolidation, it is getting built up in pressure, and we are just waiting to cross over the 200 EMA in this one, this downward trend line as well, similar to XYO. Once it gets over those, it's kind of off to the races for all cryptocurrencies, assuming that Bitcoin starts its movement upwards, which is more than likely as it is entering into Q4. That's it for this video. Reference in the description below. Like and subscribe if you have not. And good luck. Have fun with it. I will see you on the next one.